For almost 2 decades, couples walked into a small apartment in Seattle, sat down on a beige couch, and argued. They were hooked up to sweat sensors and heart monitors, allowing researchers to track the activity of their nervous systems while they discussed the things that bothered them most. The man watching them from behind a one-way glass was researcher John Gottman. By analyzing exactly 3 minutes of that footage, he could predict whether a couple would still be together 3 years later with 96% accuracy. Not on their childhoods, their bank accounts, their shared backgrounds, or frequency of physical intimacy. The data exposed a massive, unexpected anomaly. The couples whose marriages collapsed argued exactly as often as the couples who stayed together for decades. In some cases, they argued even less. The presence of conflict has zero impact on long-term stability. A relationship's fate is dictated by the microscopic, almost invisible variables occurring deep inside the conflict itself. Inside the lab, a recurring pattern of 4 specific behaviors kept showing up in the doomed marriages, and almost never in the stable ones. These 4 behaviors, Gottman's Four Horsemen, act as direct error inputs into a marriage: criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. Eye rolls, mockery, and the subtle sigh of superiority fall under contempt. It's the deadliest behavior and the single strongest predictor of divorce ever measured. Tracking 73 couples over 4 years, researchers found that chronic exposure to contempt predicts physical illness. Being continually looked down upon by a partner suppresses the receiver's immune system, leading to more colds, flus, and infections. Conflict, when handled this way, shifts from a social disagreement to a chronic physical stressor. How we argue determines the actual wear and tear on our bodies. Yet, looking across the data, the surviving couples also exhibited defensive behavior and had brutal fights. A highly specific mechanism protected their relationships from collapsing. Researchers call it a repair attempt. It is a small, slightly ridiculous gesture that changes the momentum of an argument, like sticking a tongue out or using a goofy nickname in the middle of a serious complaint. Couples who try to import polished scripts into a real fight usually fail because the words sound rehearsed. Unpolished, clumsy repair attempts are effective because the awkwardness proves they are sincere. Underneath the clumsiness, a repair attempt executes a critical psychological function. It is a microsignal proving to the partner that even during active hostilities, they are still on the same team. Stable relationships are not maintained by an absence of venom. They survive through a couple's continuous successful execution of these microscopic de-escalations. The primary bottleneck in this system is that repair attempts usually fail not because one partner stops sending them, but because the other partner fails to recognize them. This data readout illustrates a threat state known as flooding. The heart rate spikes over 100 and the prefrontal cortex goes offline. Perception shifts. The flooded brain perceives a gentle hand on the knee not as a bridge, but as a secondary attack. To prevent total system flooding, stable couples hit a highly specific mathematical target during a fight. They manage a ratio of 5 positive micro-interactions, a nod, a brief smile, a softer tone, for every 1 negative interaction. The break occurs when the biological conditions required to accept the fix have eroded. In the lab, the data reveals a counterintuitive truth. Love isn't sustained by cinematic proposals or massive crisis responses. Stability is built through awkward microgestures executed under the pressure of a fight. It is the discipline of staying present when the heart rate is racing. You can practice sending this signal. The next time you feel an argument escalating, intentionally insert one clumsy, vulnerable move. Ask a genuine question instead of countering, or admit you aren't handling the moment well. The second practice is harder. When your partner attempts a repair, you must train the discipline to take a single breath through the flooding and resist the biological urge to burn the bridge. You do not have to concede your point, and you do not have to resolve the argument perfectly. You only need to drop the system's temperature by 1 degree. Science suggests that single degree is the closest thing we have to an actual love spell.